we're very excited to introduce to you Flower Audio 4Dyne, our mastering-grade 4-band dynamics processor. It splits the audio into up to 4 frequency bands, compresses, limits, and gates each band separately to give you complete control over the dynamics of your sound. The perfect reconstruction frequency splitters in 4Dyne are some of the clearest, most transparent splitters that exist. All frequency splitters today have flat frequency response when you sum the bands back together, but most of them cause phase distortion, as 4Dyne's analog splitter mode does, which means that some frequencies are delayed differently than others, and the sound is changed even before you start compressing the bands. This is especially audible when you're working in the bass frequencies, and this makes these splitters not ideal for mastering applications. 4Dyne's perfect reconstruction splitters split the audio in such a way that if you sum all the bands back, all the frequencies are delayed the same, so you get the exact same sound you started with. And the changes to the sound occur only as much as you apply them. Let's compare it with the built-in stereo imager's frequency splitter. If you feed the imager noise that's flat over all frequencies, and you cut at 1K and listen to the low and high bands for the imager, you'll notice that the high band has audible content well into the bass frequencies. If I do the same with 4Dyne, I can see that 4Dyne's perfect splitter mode gives you a much cleaner cut. Moreover, these extended splitting frequencies go so low that it's very easy to manipulate even just the sub-bass portion of the sound. You can use 4Dyne as a multiband compressor in mastering or mixing, as a de-esser, or as a multiband envelope shaper. Let's start with mastering. I'll tell you a secret. Until we started making 4Dyne, I knew that multiband compression was a useful tool and used it to tighten up my mixes a little. And I knew the technology, but I had never realized just how much fun it was to carefully master a track with a multiband dynamics on the chain. Here's what I think is the deal. You're done with your mix and you think it's good to be mastered. And you unlock a door by the key of the limiter in the master inserts and move up the gain. And you enter a new dimension beyond what is known to your mix, where all the sounds have to go through the limiter before they reach your ear. You've turned on the limiter. Now, the limiter can have all kinds of effects on the sound. It can be too harsh, it can pump the highs, change where things sit, and destroy carefully adjusted reverbs. If you use a multiband dynamics before the limiter, you can nicely fix these problems and get a polished sound. For example, if you have a big kick, you can prevent it from pushing the limiter too hard by using one splitter and compressing the low band before it reaches the limiter. Now, that's not all. The real power of multiband compression is that you can change how sounds occupying the same frequencies interact with each other. For example, if you want to glue sounds together a bit, use a low attack in the compressor. Or if you want to make space for a sound, like the low end of a kick drum, use a longer attack and slightly longer release. Or use a gate with a low ratio to clean up the high frequencies that sound too busy. By combining the compressor, limiter, and gate, you can do all kinds of subtle and powerful effects, and we made it easier to do that in 4Dyne by organizing the controls like this. For example, on the following beautiful mix that German producer Cold Blue kindly let us use in this video, I was able to accent the kick drum using a slow compression in the low band and control how the sub-bass moves to it further with a gate with a low ratio setting, and stop the snare's reverb sound from becoming too prominent after limiting using compression on the third band. You can also transparently change the frequency balance by using these band volume knobs. It becomes even more interesting when you put an EQ before 4Dyne. because you can get away with much more extreme settings because of the multiband compression, and change which part of the band will trigger the dynamics more. For example, on the following mix, I was able to get a more consistent bass and also set things up so that the limiter can give an even sound without too many ill effects. And this sound is perhaps even a little too loud. The look ahead option is a real lifesaver here, since it lets you attack just before the peak happens. Yet, since 4-dyne automatically compensates for the look ahead latency across the bands, this never causes phasing. I fully recommend taking a finished mix that you made, running lightly through the master bus compressor, and putting EQs, 4-dyne, and a maximizer on it, and then thinking about how you want to improve the sound and what cutoffs you need to carefully set, and what subtle compression settings you need to achieve those effects with 4-dyne. It's just crazy fun, and though I'm not an expert in mastering, I now fully understand how regular people can become totally obsessed with mastering audio. It's very easy to use 4-dyne as a great de-esser. If you're an advanced Reason user, you probably know that you can make a de-esser by compressing the voice with a sidechain of the same signal, but with the high frequencies boosted way up. But many users still ask us to make a dedicated de-esser. That's because there's a different kind of de-esser plugin that does exactly what you can do with 4-dyne in 10 seconds. Just create 4-dyne with one splitter cutting at a fairly high frequency and compress only the high sounds so that they stay in check. Super sweet. 4-dyne is 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 super sweet. If you want to duck the low parts too, but to a lesser extent for those shush sounds, just connect the dry sand output of the high band to the sidechain of the low band at the back to compress the two bands with the same signal but with different settings. 4-dyne can fatten, thin, shape your sounds very clearly and dramatically. Check out how this sampled kick drum can become this. Or how this amped bass sound can be given different attack and release shapes across the frequencies. Or how every Reason user's favorite drum loop can be cleared out of low frequency rumble and boosted in the subs. These dry-wet knobs at each band allow you to easily do New York-style parallel compression, so you can blend the compressed sound in with the original dry sound. All the ratios go below 1, which makes it possible to use each of these as an expander as well. You can also easily use any other compressors, limiters, or creative effects that you like, thanks to the dry and wet send returns in the back. The sidechain, the dry and wet send returns, the separate band outputs, the gain reduction CV output, and the band volume CV inputs allow you to take advantage of the infinite possibilities provided by Reason's free routing ability. But please keep in mind that if you use any of these send returns, you need to connect the others directly to complete the loops and prevent phasing issues. We think 4-dyne's sound quality and capabilities compare really well with the best multiband compressors in other plugin formats today. And we hope that it will be a useful, many-purpose tool for you in reaching that subtle but interesting, controlled but moving, perfect sound without ever leaving Reason. You can find out more about 4-dyne from our manual at our homepage, flowerau.com. 4-dyne is available to try and buy at the Propellerhead shop. Thank you.